Poll challengers across Michigan are speaking up amid continued accusations of election fraud during the 2020 elections. One poll challenger, Glenn Sitek, spoke with One America's Christina Bobb, and she has this report. Glenn Sitek, you were one of the lead poll challengers at the TCF Center here in Detroit for the nonpartisan group, the Election Integrity Fund.
Yes.
What was your role? I understand that you were assaulted by a worker.
When we were checking ballots towards the evening, I had an occasion to follow a ballot that was being raced around the TCF floor, realizing that it wasn't tabulated properly. And at the point where the ballot landed on its original table that it was processed, three poll workers grouped together and we're now going to convey the information from the old ballot or the original ballot to a new ballot. And I took up a position at the side of the table so that I could record the document, numbers, and any information that would be helpful. At that point, the guy looked over his shoulder and he looked at me and he told me, he says, you know, you're too close, you got to get away from me. And he says, I'm here to observe the process, you know, this is what I have to do. I'm going to document that, you know, it was done properly. He says, I told you, you need to get away from me. And I says, again, I have to defend it. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is my job. This is what I'm here for. And he says, I told you to get away from me. And he got up and he approached me and he shoved me, hit me in the chest and shoved me away from him. He says, you need to get out of here.
Earlier in the day, you were registering challengers for neither party, for non-party affiliation.
Correct.
And some of them were receiving instructions from the workers on how to obstruct the process. What did you see?
The opposing parties were actually training their people how to interfere with what we would be doing. Not only the Election Integrity Fund is a nonpartisan group, but they also had the Republicans there, and they were deliberately distracting them in the process when they were following a ballot through that was probably questionable or something.
So was it a situation where maybe a Republican was following a ballot that they didn't want them to follow, so they would have someone come and challenge them so that they would lose track of the ballot?
That's exactly what they were up to. One of my challengers later on in the day was giving me exactly those details. He says, I was following this particular incident and then someone else came up and asked me a question. And he says, and by the time I went back to, he says, the ballot was gone. It had moved to its next station. He says, when he tried to follow it, and then somebody told him, oh no, you have to stay away from us. You have to stay away. You have to be 6 foot distancing. And fighting for that foothold, find out that the next thing was that ballot had moved on to the next station. And so it was never really completed. And so he was unable to really validate that something, a ballot shouldn't have been qualified that might have been.
And was there an equal number of Republican, nonpartisan, and Democrat observers or challengers?
No, that was the saddest thing about it. The Republicans were denied access. They said that they had too many. They were told that there were too many Republicans on the floor. The Dems seemed to have a large number of people everywhere. In fact, some of them got in the way of us doing our jobs. And then thirdly was the nonpartisans, which were treated just as badly as if we were an opposing party. And all we were there was to make sure the security of the integrity of the election process was being followed. And so it was kind of disappointing in that regard.
And based on the information that you saw and observed, do you have concerns about the way the election was conducted in Detroit?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think it was conducted fairly?
I don't see anything fair about it. There were so many things that happened.
Well, Glenn Sitek, thank you so much for your time and for your analysis about the events.
Thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Visit OANN.com for immediate access to all the clips you've been waiting to see.